An intellectual carrot, the mind boggles.
You see? You see? You're stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!
Earth has had Santa Claus long enough. We will bring him to Mars.
I've been afraid a lot of times in my life, but I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky.
One thing will be clear. It's not for man to interfere in the ways of God.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Earth vs. Soup, episode 131. I'm Aaron Pollier.
And I'm Darlene.
We watched a movie that Darlene has been asking to watch for a long time.
Just Imagine.
From 1930.
From 1930, 109 minutes. It is kind of vaudeville comedy and wonder stories.
Oh, man. See, okay. I'm going to start this review by telling people that this is not my kind of movie, but it's not bad. It's not bad. So understand that the way I'm going to frame things might not be the way you see the movie. It's just not my thing.
The reason why I was requesting it is because it's an image of how 1930s might see what 1980 should be.
Oh, and that stuff, the stuff that was world building in it, is fascinating. That is honestly good. And you know what, Darlene? It might, when I come down to it, I'm still debating whether I want to recommend this movie or not, because there are parts of this movie that are really cool. Like, even if I disagree with how they're building the world, the fact is that they're spending the time to do so.
But it definitely is the 1980s, imagined 1980s is very acratic,
authoritarian.
But there is one thing that is interesting. The Art Deco of the cityscape was built by 205 technicians over 5 months with the cost of $168,000 to build, with 15 miniature light bulbs and
15, more than that.
15,000.
Thank you. 15,000.
15,000 miniature light bulbs and 74 arc lights from above the universal flash. From above. They put the arc lights above to make those. Mm-hmm. And then there is Universal Flash Gordon, and Buck Rogers reuses the mock-up of the Mars spaceship.
Yes, this is Zarkov's rocket is actually in this, but this is the first time we see it. So Flash Gordon reuses Zarkov's rocket from this. Now, again, before we were even talking about this, the production value of this movie is stellar. Stellar. Just that model alone is a budget breaker compared to a lot of other movies. Like that's a whole major movie's budget. How much was Frankenstein, Darlene? How much was the Frankenstein budget? You actually wrote it down, so you should be able to tell me.
Frankenstein.
$262,000?
Yep.
And how much was this model again?
$168,000. Okay.
So $100,000 less than the entire budget of Frankenstein.
Yeah, and I didn't get a budget of this movie.
It's got to be huge. I couldn't find it. It's got to be huge. Now, that being said, it is a look ahead as though we are jumping 50 years ahead.
And they take us back to 1880 New York.
Oh, and they shit on 1880 New York. Like, it's weird. Like, okay, we are going to talk about the plot, and I'll stop now and then while we're talking about it to go, okay, this is good or this is bad. They start by that 1880 thing, talking about 1880 New York, right?
Maybe you should explain that they're doing kind of something that is a silent film thing with putting up words up on the screen at the beginning.
Yes, it is, again, a very early talkie picture. So it is almost a bridge between the silent film and normal films, in that there are chunks of it that seem very much like silent films.
Like it was supposed to be done in the silent film?
Most of the dance numbers look like they should have been in a silent film.
Or on a theater.
or in a theater. If you don't like a musical, folks, don't watch this.
No, and especially if you don't like vaudeville.
Vaudeville, yeah.
Did I say it right?
Vaudeville, yeah. If you don't like vaudeville or musicals, just stay away.
Stay away.
This
and,
is not your
and
film.
Aaron don't like either one of them.
I'm not a fan of either one, but I still appreciated chunks of this for the science fiction aspects that it does have.
The flying cars.
Well, we'll get to it. Okay, so they start talking about 1880 New York City, and they do so by crapping all over it for some reason. Like they go, look at how peaceful it is, and you're like, okay, this will be nice. But look at how peaceful and quiet. There's no noise because there's no cars. It's just these horses. And look, a man can walk into the street and not be killed. And it's like,
do you really know how noisy it used to be?
look at how slow everything is. And that's when they start getting condescending towards, like, things were so much simpler. People didn't have to worry about anything. And they, it just felt like they were punching down on the past. Now, here's the thing. At the very least, they're consistent with this. When they go, now imagine what it would be like 50 years in the future. All the people in the future, when they're talking about 50 years ago in 1930, because this is 1980, right? They're all shitting on the people in 1930 about being simpletons, about having a slow, simple life.
That single O.
There's a character that gets introduced in a little bit. We'll get to that, okay? But
I'm sorry.
But one of the first things we learn in this 1980 United States is that you are told who to marry.
You are given a number, not a name.
Yeah, you don't have a name. You have numbers. Sorry, Darlene's blowing her nose. But you have to apply for marriage, and the court will say whether the application is approved or not.
There's a marriage tribunal,
and it's overseen by like one person.
Yeah, a judge.
So we have a couple main characters, and this is kind of cool. Again, we get to see this giant miniature set with flying planes that actually look really cool, that have VTOL capabilities. They actually have the ability to take off vertically and land vertically.
And they put it in hover mode.
They put it in hover mode, barf. And they're able to like climb from wing to wing. They wing walk to talk to each other. I'm like, okay, this is actually
shut off
cool.
their propeller.
They shut off their forward propeller, but leave like the VTOLs. And I'm like, you're getting too close to those blades, man. And I think we're introduced to, is it J21 and NT3?
No, it's J21 and LN18.
LN18. Who's freaking MT3? Oh, MT3 is the other guy.
The MT3 is the guy that wants to marry her.
Again, folks, names are almost meaningless in this because they are just letters and numbers, and there's only one character, so to speak, in this that I will ever remember their name, and that's single O. But anyway, we'll get to him.
And he actually had a name because he was from
1930.
Yes.
So there is the woman who is it LN18?
LN18.
She accepted 2 applications to marry her.
No, she didn't accept.
She accepted 2 marriage proposals that needed to be approved by the judge. She accepted 2. The first one was to the man that she was talking to in the beginning. See, I took detailed notes on this.
I didn't get that.
Yes.
Maybe
she wanted to marry the first guy that we meet, this J21.
J21.
She wanted to marry him. But then her father got involved and made her accept the proposed
MT3,
license from MT3.
Which is a stuck-up guy.
He's some socialite bastard. Anyway, the judge feels that MT3 is a better match to her because he actually has like upward motion, I guess. I don't know, or money. But money is meaningless in the future here. Did you notice that? Like, how are you a socialite and there's people that are clearly like less well off?
Yeah, vendor machine.
Oh no! This gets crazy. This is where I go, okay, I've lost all the suspension of disbelief. there is a point in this movie that I've lost suspension of disbelief, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So, oh my God, how we're introduced to the apartment that J21 lives in with RT42. God, I hate these names.
And RT
And can I say,
tries to cheer up J.
yes, but can I?
That's how I've been saying it, was RT and then J, and using.
Can I say that there is amazing forward-thinking things in this scene, because they're in their apartment. We learn a few things about the world. Number one, bathrooms are still a thing in 1980, which a lot of these kind of weird movies back this far might have always said, oh, well, bathrooms are like the three seashells or some crap like that. But here we have RT42 washing his hands and then drying it under a power dryer that blows hot air. And I'm like, wait a second, that's actually pretty forward thinking there. And then the whole sink folds up into the wall.
Like their beds used to.
Yeah, like the hideaway beds. But the whole sink and bathroom kind of folds back into the wall. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. We have a official stop by the apartment, and she's a census taker. And I'm like, it's 1980. That makes complete sense that there's a census taker there. But it's a woman, and here we're introduced to why this is an authoritarian state. Because we already know that there's like these marriage license things. But now we learn that women do not have the power to apply for a marriage license. All they have the power to do is to accept that application.
Because RT is making fun of her.
Yes, like, oh, well, at least we can make the proposal. And she's like, well, I should too. I should have that right. And he's like, well, it's not your right. You know, like he was being a real snide about it. But I'm like, wow, okay, so there is like serious gender inequality. Because here's the thing. You can have one man who loves one woman very, very much. It doesn't even matter if it's a man or woman. Anyway, in the context of this 1930s thing, man and a woman, they both love each other dearly. There's only one proposal on the table. The judge can reject it. And that's done. There's no recourse. Actually, there is there is an appeal that can happen 4 months later, but they said it is incredibly unlikely to ever win an appeal. So
you have to have upward momentum.
Yeah, you have to have upward momentum in society, whatever the F that means. Okay, because this is where I start really shitting on this movie, like
and
the world of this movie.
You feel like it's geneticist.
Oh, it is eugenics, because here's the thing. It's not about eugenics of having children, Darlene, because I'm going to skip ahead for a moment. We see the vending machines that are on the streets of New York City. Now, remember, this is 1930. Eugenics is still a thing in the United States. Eugenics is very much a thing in Europe still. When we see a couple that wants to have a child.
Do you want a boy or do you want a girl?
And she said what?
I want a boy.
I want a boy. And they go up to a vending machine and a baby spits out.
And it really was a baby that was in this little...
And I was like, done. Like, hold on. So you are having to apply to become married, where a judge who is clearly trying to match you for traits is either approving or disapproving of you. Yet you have a vending machine that spits out children of your choice of gender, at the very least of gender. There were more buttons on that machine. Could you select what color eyes they had?
I don't know.
Could you select, like, you don't know. Here's the thing.
I don't know. I know the whole thing was a huge vending machine because they were pulling out the pills.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a standard thing in science fiction, though. Food is pills. There's still prohibition, though, folks. There's still prohibition, but everyone has illegal alcohol pills to get liquored up. And people get liquored up
and
routinely.
They get liquored up because single O
really liquored up. And here's the thing, like, you can have your bottle of liquor that you're trying to smuggle around in 1930 or whatever. One pill is like a bottle of liquor. And he ends up smuggling around like 4 or 5 big bottles of pills. And he's just downing them. And he's stumbling around, pissing himself. Like, it's insane. Anyway, the eugenics thing from the judge is bothersome enough. But the fact is that are they just harvesting sperm and egg from these couples, and then like just having an iron wombs that spit out children from vending machines?
I have no idea. Don't want to
What
go
the-
in that.
this
It was bad enough what they did to bring when they bring single zeros.
Well, let's just skip ahead. Let's skip ahead to it. Let's skip ahead. No, we're not going to skip ahead because I have notes here that in this apartment we're introduced to obviously we have our two roommates and they have a dog called, what is it called, Darlene?
Canine.
Canine. I can get it when it's a robot dog on Doctor Who. This dog had Canine written in ink on the side of him because his hair was shaved off to have it written on his side.
So maybe he wasn't a real dog.
Maybe he
Or
wasn't.
maybe it was a vending machine
Maybe it was a
dog.
vending machine dog because they practice eugenics on dogs, but that's kind of a thing today anyway with breeds of dogs. So maybe I should judge us in the modern day.
I have judged us on that one, and I'm like, most of
So-
those pre-breed dogs are
Here we have
give me a mutt.
Here we have our first musical break where our roommate, our main character's roommate, imagines flappers being sexually assaulted and dancing with a drink shaker, a woman smoking while rocking a baby while reading a book entitled Ex-Wife. Again, most of these songs I don't understand because there's like lots of vibrato, and since it's 1930, the quality of the film
He
isn't
also
good.
sped up the movie.
I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it.
That song was so slow that you could speed it up,
And it was
and
it
it
was better.
still had.
I understood more of it, Darlene. That's crazy. Yes, I sped this movie up to 25% faster. We watched this on YouTube. You can watch it for free, folks. And speeding it up to 25% faster made no difference to the movie, except that it made some of the songs more intelligible.
When they're going so slow.
Why would somebody sing about flappers being sexually assaulted? Like groping flapper girls while they're smoking and drinking.
And that's something from the 20s, not something from 1970s.
1980s. But
Well, that
remember,
was
it's being
1980.
filmed from the perspective of the 1930s, so I understand that they can't just predict, like, jelly bracelets and freaking leg warmers, Darlene.
Well, I would assume that they were they would have been talking about. They should have been talking about
Though, let's be fair. Even if
bras
it's not,
burning and
let's be fair. Even if it's not specifically in 1980, if they predicted jelly bracelets, leg warmers, and Duran Duran, I would be praising this movie for being the next thing.
no, but this is definitely a eugenics.
So now we go to a medical experiment because one of the girls that is interested in these guys, like the roommate, I think, wants
to go to a show.
Is it D6? Is that her name, D6?
Yeah, I think so. It was D.
Oh, God.
No, it was D3, wasn't it?
D3. D6 written down. I have D6 written down.
Oh.
She wants to go to a medical experiment because this is high entertainment.
Yes, it was a show.
Okay,
Quote,
so
unquote.
I'm now going to praise the movie. I liked the props in the medical experiment. They looked cool. They looked
I didn't like
Flash.
the medical.
Oh, these guys are unethical to the extreme. Like, these people put...
Well, what are you
I'm
gonna
not-
do
I'm not
with?
gonna go there.
What are you gonna do with the guy? What was his real name?
Hold on, I have it written down. His last name was Peterson. Okay, so the medical experiment in this movie is bringing a man who has been dead for 50 years,
got hit by lightning.
while playing golf. They're going to bring him back to life with a Flash Gordon gizmo that actually looked cool. There is no explanation made to how he is not just like bones. There is no explanation of how he was preserved to be a full, normal body this entire time.
Or that they maintained his age.
He was dead, right? He's
He
a
was
corpse.
dead.
He's bones. How are they bringing him back to life?
I don't know.
Like, at least in Frankenstein, they explain it as fresh pieces of bodies that are being stitched together and then reanimated immediately by electricity.
But I didn't understand why they were doing this experiment.
Well, here's the thing, Darlene. They do explain that. that there is no reason why they're doing it. The entire reason is this doctor to prove that he can do it, and he doesn't give a crap about the moral or ethical issues raised by it.
Or
fact,
the person that
he
they bring
says-
back.
He tells Peterson, I don't care what you do. I'll kill you if you want to return to being dead. And Peterson's like, no, I like being alive, thank you very much. Peterson then also remarks upon his wife and child most likely being dead. And I'm like, Peterson, you're an idiot. It's only 50 years.
And that shows up in the end.
Maybe, yeah, it does. I don't even care if I'm spoiling this movie because some parts of it just tick me off so much. But Peterson, I'm like, dude, it's been 50 years. You're what, like 30? Your wife could theoretically still be alive. Your son most likely is alive. Okay? Why are you sitting there bitching and you don't even try to look for them?
No, he gets drunk.
He just gets immediately drunk with these guys, going around looking at people, vending machine babies, and freaking food pills. The one thing I thought was funny, like honestly a funny joke in this movie, is that all the airplanes that everybody flies around, because there's no cars, everyone flies airplanes, they all have like Jewish sounding names. And I'm saying that because I am Jewish, I can say that. All right, there. And the guy Peterson wants to be called Single O. He says, I guess somebody got even with Henry Ford. I thought that was funny because Henry Ford was a noted anti-Semite and hated.
They said, well, what I read on this movie was that it was highly.
It was a big dig at Henry Ford.
Yeah.
And I raised my fist up in the air and I go, screw Henry Ford. Yes, my family has never bought a Ford car and never will. Regardless, we can move on from that one joke that I thought was actually funny. Because who would have made that in 1930? I mean, anti-Semitism even in the United States was kind of accepted. I mean, not as much as it was in Europe. It was still a problem. I'm saying culturally, overall. Like
probably being nasty to black people in the South
because even Disney had,
but I doubt in
cartoons
New York
with like anti-Semitic.
I don't think in New York it would have been New York. It wouldn't have been cool to be anti-Semitic.
I'm not saying it was cool. I'm saying it was like, oh, that is just a part of.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have accepted it in that city. I don't think.
So now
because there's too many.
Now
Jewish
we're introduced
people.
to women faking a headache to not go to a party. Single O is blazing drunk off pills. We have another musical number.
Is that all you did was write down?
So we're at like 3 musical numbers. And by the way, folks, this is about, I don't know, let's say a third of the way through the film. But at that point, the musical numbers really start kicking in.
By the way, you can probably fast forward through the musical numbers.
Yeah.
Because all it is like a theater.
Oh God, I hate.
And sometimes it doesn't even match with what's going on in anything.
The father and the accepted husband to our heroine have returned, and
to catch them,
the 2 guys are caught because Single O climbs up the side of the building.
On steps that are on
up
the
like 50 stories. He climbs up the side of the building while drunk to ask for more liquor pills from his friends.
Yep.
This is supposed to be funny.
Yep.
He gets everyone in trouble. Like legally in trouble because this guy that has applied and got rejected for his marriage license is
not supposed to be near her.
Yeah, it's kind of like a restraining order. And I'm like, you bastard, you climbed up 50 stories drunk as a skunk to get more liquor pills and got all your friends screwed.
To get more highballs.
Yes. God, this movie. We have another musical interlude where our main character contemplates suicide by standing on the edge of the bridge. We have another man come up that I thought was like going to be he works for Z.
He works for Z.
I thought he was going to be like an Ingmar Bergman style death that came to like talk him down from the bridge or talk him over the rail. That didn't happen, unfortunately.
To do a trip to the planet Mars.
So yeah, we're introduced to Z4. He's built a rocket to Mars. He needs a pilot. He's invented a gravity neutralizer, and it's like a 3-month journey to Mars and a 3-month journey to and from Mars.
Gravity neutralizer.
Okay, you know what? I'm okay with that. It's 1930. It's bad science fiction. I'm fine with that.
Then they go to an airliner.
Hold on. He says that might be a good idea because that means I can prove my worthiness to society and maybe win the appeal. Because if I go to Mars and back,
that's in 4 months.
Yeah, if I'm able to go to Mars and back, I will show that I'm far more mobile socially than douchebag with a tuxedo, and I can marry the woman I love.
And the guy is a douchebag.
And the woman I love can marry me. Now, the woman in this, I should say again, is Ellen 18, played by Maureen O'Sullivan. You may know her from Tarzan the Ape Man as Jane. Like, she's actually like a known actress. Okay, but we can move on. We go to the airship Pegasus, where our main character works. And
would you call it a dirigible?
Yeah, it's a dirigible. And I thought, okay, it's a good set. It's actually a really good set. And
you have another musical.
We have another musical number that's a drinking song, and they're all pulling out bottles to toast. Again, this is like a government-run airline. There's prohibition, but everyone has bottles of liquor. And then, no, it's not bottles of liquor. It's bottles of pills
that are liquor.
And everyone's getting rip shit drunk while they're dancing and singing, while there's like people that they're supposed to be like protecting on this journey that they're going to go on outside, like not giving a crap that everyone's like fall over drunk. We have, oh my lord, we have another musical interlude that involves Single O singing a bizarre musical number where he cross-dresses. Okay, hold on.
Where's the one with the woman with the wearing the leaf dress?
Oh God, I don't know anymore.
Look, that do the Charleston.
I sound insane talking about this movie. This movie is like an LSD trip.
It would really work.
It's not good. It's not. Well, no. It's. Where am I supposed to go with this? He goes to Mars. There's like 6 more musical numbers on Mars.
Oh, and we had to figure out that Queen Lulu has a twin,
evil twin
that is Boo Boo
on Mars,
and her husband Loco has Boko.
Okay, hold on. I actually wrote down descriptions here. Hold on.
Your Boko and Loco.
A caveman. Loco is a caveman with a bony spiked afro, wearing a bra, shoulder pads, and codpiece covered in big metal nipples. They do an interpretive dance to the Queen of Mars after she asks to have angry sex with the human filth.
I don't think she was asking.
That is how I describe like a 15-minute scene. Darlene, and then Single O, later on, plays with Loco's metal nipples like they're nipples by tweaking them and tickling them.
Okay.
What the hell? Anyway, they go to Mars and they have to physically turn the rocket around to launch. Again.
Yes, that made me laugh. And then jack it up.
Jack it up on jacks. Oh. How am I even this movie?
And he's still aboard because he wants more booze.
Since they're all identical twins, all the Martians on Mars. Yeah, I don't even care if I'm skipping around at this point. All the Martians on Mars have identical twins that are either evil or good, depending on which side you're on, right? So they originally meet the good Martians, then they're kidnapped by the evil Martians, they're freed by the good Martians, captured by the evil Martians, they're knocked out repeatedly, causing themselves head trauma, excessive head trauma.
And 4 days they go by.
And
there's
our hero, quote unquote, knows. Oh, by the way, Single O stows away on a Mars rocket without any extra food. All he brings is liquor in bottles. This is not a problem. There's enough fuel, food, and oxygen for an extra whole human being on this trip. Yep. And I wanted to punch the screen.
Yep.
But he's the guy that like saves everybody because I guess
he knocks out Boko.
I don't know, the evil Loco.
Yes, the evil Loco.
But good Loco
and stows him aboard the ship.
But good Loco likes his nipples teased. I guess that's why he came onto the ship. No, he kidnapped evil Boko, right?
The Boko, not the Loco.
So they kidnap an indigenous person from Mars.
Yep.
So
A king.
Single O can tease his nipples in front of the
so
judge.
That he could prove that they did go to Mars.
I'm not joking. He plays with his nipples in front of the judge, the big metal nipples, and thinks it's funny. So they go to the judge right during the appeal, and he wasn't there. Like, our main character wasn't there, but he comes in and says, I'm here. I went to Mars. How do you prove it? Here's this evil guy with giant metal nipples. I'll play with them in front of you. We really did go to Mars. And then the judge says, no, I rule in favor of our main hero. The end. How many musical numbers are there?
I don't know.
12, 20. They all kind of bleed together.
There was the one that was really kind of interesting choreographic dancing just after
Mars?
the Mars.
Oh yeah, no.
But I didn't understand. Great. There's this. How would you call it? It was Loco.
Oh, are you talking about the giant idol with articulated arms?
That lifted up these girls.
Hold on. Yeah, we need to talk about that. This giant idol you think it's a miniature until you realize it's not. It's 40 feet tall with mobile arms that can grip whole people.
And they're on their shoulders. And there's actually 4 arms.
It has like eyes that are moving around. And I'm like, holy crap, that must have been $100,000 because these arms are lifting people up. That means there's all this structure inside. It's not just like a paper mache prop. This thing actually can handle weight of multiple people hanging off its arms.
Yes, it was about 4 people on each arm.
That is insane. So what you end up having, in my opinion, in this movie, you have things that are incredibly expensive, amazing looking, like this idol or the miniature city set, or the world building that's interesting, even if it's bonkers. It's interesting, right? You have amazing costumes. I will say the costumes in this are actually very cool.
I wouldn't mind seeing a guy in that. Those
the seamless one-piece suit things.
Not the one piece. The one that has the crossover, the buttons down here, no collar. It looks
there are some costumes in this that are honestly interesting, but all of them look good. All of them, even including Loco's metal nipple thing.
The Queen's. Whoa,
fantastic.
Well, that would have been top drag queen.
No, it wasn't drag.
It wasn't.
You could turn it up to 11.
You could make this dress and as a drag queen and walk out on the runway, and you would.
Yeah,
everybody would be like, "Wow!"
Drag is about taking a feminine piece of clothing or an idea of fashion and just dialing it up to 11.
And they did.
No, I don't agree. I don't think this was at 11. I think this was at 9. You could dial it up further.
You think you could dial it up more?
Bigger headdress, more shiny long nails rather than just the painted nails that she had.
She had nails.
She had nails, like foot long nails. Like I said, the costuming in this, 10 out of 10. The sets, okay, but like the miniatures, the special effects type stuff, unbelievably good for 1930. Unbelievably good. The musical numbers, I can't give it a 0 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10. I honestly have to give it like a 3 or a 4. And the reason I say that is, if you like the Fallout series, you'll recognize the style of the music as like the old-timey music that you hear in Fallout, not the 1950s or kind of style of stuff.
And if you like vaudeville
style of music, there you go too. That's in here.
And what would disturb you on that one is going back into the story.
So what I cannot stand in this movie is the general musical numbers.
Well, it's also jerky.
Music. It's very jerky.
It goes from
I don't like the acting.
Music to acting to...
I don't like the acting. I don't like the premise. And it comes down to this whole like authoritarian society, and no one seems to like question that this is a good thing or a bad thing, except the people that are getting shit on, like women. Women don't think any of this is a good idea. But all the men just laugh about it. Like it's not a big deal.
They'd be under a revolt.
But I mean, in the end, are women having to have childbirth? No, you just walk to a goddamn vending machine that spits out a new child. So maybe it is that, like, hey, at least women don't have the burden of ever having children. You just get your eggs and sperm harvested and thrown into a big pot.
But you still end up having to take care of the kid.
Well, sure, because it seems like the women are
very much placed in home.
Yeah, they're housewives, not
that are you go out taking census.
But I think maybe we aren't seeing the bigger picture with that. It might be that the only women that we've truly seen in this movie are the well-to-do socialites that have nothing to do anyway.
Well, like I said, that or you're going to be put into a census or something.
Because, I mean, we do see a female worker.
Menial task thing that...
Would you think that the census is actually a meaningless job? Like, I actually think that was kind of an important job.
It's an important job, but it's not...
They actually respected her for doing the job, though. They're like, oh, you're a census worker, come in. Like, it doesn't... They didn't even blink that it was a woman. Like, okay, so maybe there is a lot of women in the workforce, and maybe our perspective of the society is limited by the main characters.
But I don't think they have financial control. It didn't feel like they had financial control.
Wow, I don't know if I can say one way or the other, Darlene. I think with the whole idea of the marriage application and
the father overriding it to putting another person on that list.
It might just be because the father's powerful somehow or another.
I don't know, but I thought it was just like crap.
Well, yeah, it's clear that this
and then there's
society
D6
is not nice.
That is not supposed to be with...
Is D6 not supposed to be with RT-42?
I don't think so.
All right. I mean, I don't know. I guess most of this film, I was kind of blinded by rage by the bad musical numbers.
And you found out somewhere in their discussion in the apartment that our J21 and the other guy,
what, RT-42?
RT, were friends from childhood.
Sure. I see. I don't know. I've kind of bitched about this movie more than you have.
And
I know you have.
D6 and LN is friends from.
Oh yeah. One other thing I should say that's in this: they have video phones.
Yes, they have video phones.
And I think it's RT-40. I think it's RT-42 spies on what is it, D6 when he calls her.
Yeah,
she's like putting on stockings. I'm
yes.
Like, you creep. Why does she answer the phone?
That's what I wondered.
Like, why are you answering?
Because at one other time, somebody else calls something and they have the phone blank until they turn it on.
Yep. But here's a joke that I thought actually kind of worked. D6 was getting ready, right? RT-42 says, "Ugh, I have to wait for her now. Women always take so long." And she's there like 10 seconds later, completely dressed. And like, it's clear that she lived across town. It's just that it took no time at all to get there because of airplanes. Like, she just appears and they don't address the fact that she was quick. It was like 10 seconds, right? And she's fully dressed. They don't address that. That's long to them. That's waiting a while. Women always take so long to get ready, and it's 10 seconds. That's too long. I thought it was both sexist and kind of a funny joke at the same time. It actually kind of was clever because it was poking fun at men in the 1930s bitching about women taking so long to get ready, and here's this woman that took no time at all, and they're still complaining about it because men are always going to bitch about women getting ready, right? Right.
I bitch about some people taking long to...
Okay, Darlene, my judgment is clearly biased. Okay. I don't like musicals. I don't like musical comedies, asterisk, because there's like 2 or 3 musical comedies that I've actually very much enjoyed.
You're going to ask me, do I recommend it? No.
You don't recommend it.
No, I don't. I
It's-
wanted to see it because I wanted to see what they imagined 1980 was.
It was awful. Like the 1980 that they
How
imagined
old were
is
you
terrible.
in then?
I was 3. See, the thing is, I remember 1980. I remember things from when I was 2, though, too. Barely, but I do. I know Darlene's older than me. Darlene's like, I was 11. All right, because she's older than me. Anyway, I don't recommend it.
And you
because
look older.
I do look older because I've lived a tough life and been irradiated. But I don't recommend it, but that's because I don't like musicals, even though I might enjoy some of the music in this.
If you wanted to see some interesting sets, I would say, yeah.
Is it
If you
science
wanted
fiction?
to look,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah,
it is science fiction. If you want to see some interesting costumes,
The miniature of the city of New
the
York City.
miniature of the city,
Stunning.
unique thought of aircraft.
Aircraft. There are no ground cars. Everything is aircraft, and they all have this hover mode that they can land and take off in. And there's still cops in freaking traffic stands directing traffic and yelling at people for hovering too long.
Yeah, they yelled at
You
the
can't
people.
park there.
You've
Move
been,
along.
been there for more than
3 minutes, and there's this cop sitting in like a hovering basket, and he's like, "Get the hell out of there! Stop! Get back to your own planes and leave." Yeah, I liked that, but I also thought it was strange that the world, just the vending machine babies, that for whatever reason, that really bothered me.
that bothered me.
That really bothered me.
The premise of the
Is it because
the marriage tribunal?
Because I mean, maybe it bothers me because are they divorcing love from child? Like, you don't need
Well,
to
one of
love
the
your
things,
child,
so-
or maybe it is that they're trying to say that love is expanded beyond your physical children, like that you have love for any child. That like society has changed in such a way as to love.
I don't
all.
think that one, because I think it would. They would consider it their child.
Yes, I think so too. But I'm saying I'm trying to give the movie some benefit of the doubt. I don't believe that they're trying to.
I think they're trying to say that we needed to do something to get a better life, but that is not better.
And prohibition's still going on, but everyone breaks it all the time.
Well, that might be saying that it's not going to work anyway.
Completely and utterly unethical medical experiments are spectator sports.
Yeah, God.
Oh God. No,
Anyway,
these people are terrible.
We do not know what this movie really was. Its verbal
Here's
comment was.
We're both not recommending it, but here's the thing: my not recommendation is a light not recommendation, just because there is some things in this that are really cool.
Well, that's what I was
Really,
saying.
really
Is
cool.
the if you wanted to see all these different things, it's worth a watch. I would
Yeah.
fast forward through the musical.
You know, if I could have fast forwarded,
Except for that one that is with the giant.
The giant idol, the 40-foot tall idol carrying like half naked women on Mars around, like, my light not recommendation is like I think this is more like a 4 out of 10, and it would be a 4.5, maybe even a 5 out of 10 if I was allowed to actually skip past the musical numbers, just because of how stunning the miniatures are. And some of the special effects. I really think that those are cool. So we'll leave it there. I'm sorry for babbling about this movie for so long. God, it was such a pain to watch for me. For other people, you know what? You might think this is an 8 out of 10 movie, a 9 out of 10 movie. If you really like 1930s vaudeville type music and
Shows like that?
Buster Keaton kind of comedy type stuff.
Yeah, because the single O is a vaudeville comedy actor.
A lot of these people that are in this movie were born in the 1800s. Like, that's interesting. Like Z4, the scientist.
Oh, and
who
we
invented
forgot
the
about
rocket.
the end of it. Is that at the end, Alex or somebody?
Oh yeah. He
comes up and it's his son.
It's his son as an old man. He's like, "Oh, I heard that you were alive. I came to look for you." And he goes, "Oh, my son,
Go sit on my lap.
come and sit on my lap." And that's like the end of the movie. And I'm like, "Oh man, come on."
That was just creepy.
Because he's been creepy all the way through, single
He
almost
has
creepy all
been.
the way through the movie. Fondling men's nipples and things like that. Like,
Being totally
intoxicated, piss drunk. Like, yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed listening to my frustration and my general disdain for, I don't know, 1930s musicals.
musicals at all.
No, see,
You
there
do-
are
you-
musicals
there
that
is-
I love. There
there
are
is-
musicals that I love.
There is only a few.
Only a few. I like My Fair Lady. I like Rocky Horror Picture
It
Show.
took me a lot to get you to watch My Fair Lady.
I like The Producers.
You like Pirates of Penzance only because you
Gilbert
were in
and
it.
Salt. No, not only because I was in a college production of it, but it was because I actually think their humor is funny.
He knows it by words.
I know all of Pirates of Penzance by heart.
You also know a lot of the musical numbers for Mighty Python.
Oh, Spamalot.
Spamalot, Cromwell.
Oh, the Oliver Cromwell song from Monty Python. Yeah, you can actually. I passed a European history test by memorizing that song. It was, I actually did. No joke. Anyway, we'll leave it there, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm Darlene. Good evening.
Keep watching the skies.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
Lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.